It is showing me live on both platforms now that we're live on YouTube and Facebook. So let me just double check here.
Yep, I got a notification, so we're good.
Awesome. Awesome. I am already starting to see the notification. I know you already have as well, Kristiana. So we'll go ahead and get kicked off and started as people are beginning to be alerted that we're live. And whether you've joined us on our YouTube platform or here on Facebook, we want to welcome you to our live broadcast. And thank you for being a part of this. And whether it's right now in real time, which is the morning, although the weather looks like it should be afternoon, late into the evening, or if you're watching this with us on replay, because I know several of you also join us at a later point, thank you for tuning in and catching up on all things in our community and getting to see some of the faces behind the brands and businesses that we work with. Now, generally, we have our Monday morning broadcasts with city councilors to provide you updates and information on what's going on in and around our community. Wednesdays are usually reserved for a network welcome of our newer partners to the organization. And then Fridays are kind of up in the air, where every couple of weeks we might throw in a Friday segment for you. And that's usually because we're actually on a different platform on Fridays anyways, promoting some of our business partners. But this week we decided to have a little bit of a curveball. We actually adjusted our network welcome to Friday, which is today. So we appreciate you joining on with us outside of the usual time period that we have this. I do ask that if you are tuned in with us, whether you are a first-time viewer or a returning viewer with us, that you begin to engage with us. And you can do so by reacting to the video with any of those reactionary emojis, the hearts, the caring, all that love and support. You can also hit the share button on this video so others in your network can see that we're also live. And again, the way that you are alerted when we post out videos or content is when you're following our page. So be sure that you're following our Facebook page or that you've subscribed, if you're viewing this on YouTube, to that channel, and it will alert you when we go live. YouTube does a fun thing because it even alerts you after we're no longer live and tells you a video is available for you to rewatch. So kind of fun and neat that way. The videos can be found in the video section of our Facebook and YouTube platform for you to rewind, rewatch, and engage with at any point in time. Now, outside of resharing and outside of giving us those hearts and amazing reactions, you can also engage with us throughout the discussion today by commenting on our video. And comments are available on both platforms. We'll be able to see the comment, pull it up on our screen, and I'm just pulling up the first comment that I'm seeing. And while I'm doing that, I will give a quick shout out to Jerry. Thank you for tuning in, Jerry, and Ron, both of you for joining us on the broadcast. Emilio has jumped in and given a quick good morning message. And this is exactly how your comment will come through, or your question. So if you have a question on some of what we share, or maybe just a specific question you want our guests to address, type that in the chat and we'll be able to pull that into the queue. With that, I believe that's all I wanted to throw out there in terms of housekeeping, and really get you all just as excited as I am to have Kristiana with me. And Kristiana is with Five Rings Financial. So excited to have you join us on this broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's just jump right into it. I know a little bit about you, others do not. So, for those that do not know who you are, let's let them know. Are you a Colorado native? Are you a transplant here? Where is home for you?
Gotcha. Well, I was raised in Taos, New Mexico, and then I moved to Texas and started my family and began education in the elementary school. I taught English as a second language in Austin, Texas,
Mm.
and it was a wonderful experience. I absolutely loved it. But there was still a calling for the mountains, and I didn't necessarily want to go back to Taos because Denver was always such a great place to visit when I was younger. So I brought my boys over and we checked it out and we landed on Westminster because it was so welcoming and so beautiful. And we found an amazing place that just really fits all our needs.
Yeah.
So I am a transplant, but I feel kind of native because I've always enjoyed being a neighbor.
Right? Yeah, being so close, being in New Mexico, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making Westminster in Colorado home. Of course, we always pride on ourselves on being welcoming, but it's nice hearing it from someone else. Brett, I do see you on here, so thanks for joining us. And as you all are coming on here, I know I'll be peppering our guests with some questions, but Jerry threw out there in the comments, and Jerry, I just want to draw people's attention to this. Jerry's on the Jefferson County government side, and he is our one of our elected officials that's over there. So he's sharing that if you guys have any questions about property tax increases, particularly as of late, that you can go ahead and visit his page so you can learn more. Which allows me to give a quick plug in. We do also have a segment today at 1 o'clock on KUHS Denver with Brian Dice of Your Castle Real Estate and Westminster Real Estate Info. And Brian will actually be speaking about home values and what that looks like and some of the services that he offers to complement even what Jerry is sharing and assist people that feel like they may be in the misclassification part. So, let's just keep moving right into this. We shared about how you have journeyed from New Mexico to Texas to Colorado and then landed here, but recently transitioned into this company of Five Rings Financial. So let's tell folks a little bit what was that journey like from being a teacher to your next kind of profession into now financial services sector?
It's kind of an amazing story, honestly. When I was in Austin, my ex-husband and I lived in the same apartment complex. And he was in building 2, and I was in building 10, and the boys would walk back and forth. It was great. It was very amiable. But one evening, he went to bed and didn't wake up. So he passed away. And it caused us to kind of reflect on our lives and look at our mortality and what we really wanted to do with the next chapter of our lives.
Mhm.
So when we moved to Austin, or when we moved from Austin to here, I originally wanted to go into bookkeeping because my church mom recommended it. It turns out I really don't like it, but I had already joined a networking group and I had met Eric Have, my vice president, in our networking group, and he was so sweet and so kind. And he met me at Zoe's Coffee for a coffee chat, and he invited me to a Money 101.
Mhm.
And that's one of the workshops that Five Rings Financial actually hosts once a month. So the boys and I sat in the front row, and we were blown away by what we were learning and what we were offered. And it was a really great avenue for me to be able to protect my son's assets because they had inherited from their father's policy. So when I saw what was capable for my family to be secure, I jumped on as a client, but then he also invited me to the national training camp that was in November. And I learned the culture. I got to meet the CEO. He gave me a big hug, like he'd known me for years. I was just like, wow, my people, you know.
Yes.
So then Eric he was so kind. He said, well, I have a position open if you're interested. And I said, does it mean I don't have to do bookkeeping anymore? He said, sure. So I just jumped all in and I got my license and started really growing. The wonderful thing about this company, and this is something that you and I had spoken about earlier, was working on yourself. Mike Wilk, the CEO of our company, is always saying, work on yourself more than you do your business. And so just with the professional and personal development that he offers, I have changed so dramatically in such a short time.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you so much for opening up and sharing something so personal in your life that you had happen to you, but parlaying that into how that has actually allowed you to be where you are today. And there's always reasons for the things that we experience through life, however sour they might be and hard they might be to digest. But to see how you've adapted to that is truly inspiring. And I know you've inspired others like Brett who have joined onto our broadcast and shared how you are amazing. And thank you so much, Brett, for chiming in and providing us that. But that speaks a lot of the brand of Five Rings and really in empowering you and in having you develop your own personal profile and personal persona. And so, even through our organization, I know when you are going out there, you're representing Five Rings Financial, but you're really representing yourself as Kristiana. And what are those services that you're going out there and representing and offering to people so they know?
Well, I feel kind of like a crusader. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I don't want anyone to be in a situation where they don't have that kind of protection, number one.
Mhm.
But I had an old school policy. It was a death benefit only.
Mm,
But what Five Rings Financial uh, does is we offer living benefits. So if you're more likely to have a health issue, a health crisis happen, what happens when you have medical bills that your health insurance doesn't cover? What happens when you have a diagnosis and you have to do extra treatments or even alternative treatments that your health insurance doesn't cover? Who pays the bills? Well, typically people tap into the only savings that they have, which is their retirement.
mm,
Well, when that's drained, then what happens? So a lot of times bankruptcies happen, devastation happens in a family, and Five Rings Financial offers living benefits to protect you for that. You're
mm.
9 times more likely to need that than you are just the regular death benefit. So when I learned about that, I thought, oh my goodness, everyone I know needs to have this information. And the wonderful thing about it is we offer that information in a no pressure, no sales environment where we invite you over, we buy you dinner, you get to learn. And if you have questions, then we meet with you afterwards. But you have to have this information that there are these options to prevent you from devastation. It's amazing. And then if you really want to make a change in your life and you just don't want to do your 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, or you want to add some supplemental income, you can do this part-time. You can help the friends and family that you know and get benefits from it. So it's kind of a win-win-win situation,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, and again, I can't emphasize enough how your personal experience with a particular plan really helps in you communicating those key differences between why go this route versus the traditional or the typical one that most people would have thought of. I have our board chairman Parker's on here, and I just wanted to pull up his comment and give a quick shout out to Christina. Thank you for also joining us. Good morning to you, Parker. Thanks for engaging. We've got Kristiana with us from Five Rings giving us some quick details about what she does, who she is, and what she's all about. This next question is really going to speak to the fact that in all industry, we have similarities between other individuals that might offer our services or other organizations that might offer the same thing. So, when we speak to why you or what differentiating factor or your unique proposition, how would you answer that for people? Knowing that, again, Five Rings is a brand that's out there, but even past Five Rings, there are others that may offer the similar types of services.
Well, we are kind of a cut different in many ways. One of the reasons that I'm proud to wear this logo on my chest, is is
Mhm.
because we're all inclusive. We recognize that there are many other companies out there that are forging ahead and helping support families as well. But one of the things that we really tie in to the support of Middle America is we educate. We have multiple workshops. We have Wine, Women, and Wealth. We have a brunch session that we serve mimosas, and we go over the learning techniques that a lot of people don't know. I mean, I went to school for so many years and never had a personal finance class. I never knew how to really instruct them. I I read books, but it was never that final step. Like, what's the next step? We offer that final step, and we support people in their dreams. I mean, that's the first question that Eric asked me when we sat down in his office. Oh, excuse me. What were our dreams? You know, Caden and Parker, my 20 and 22-year-old, were never asked, what is it that you really want to succeed in your life? And they were able to answer that. And so we were able to cater exactly the plan that they needed to be able to foster their dreams. And then,
Mhm.
of course, my dream was just to be able to provide a home for my boys. And I have a plan that's going to come into fruition in 5 years that I never even dreamed of. I mean, my retirement plan, Juliet, was a van by the river. And so now I have other options, and being able to be heard and be able to be met at where I'm at
Yeah.
is different because other companies expect you to have a lump sum to be able to talk to them. They have
Mhm.
certain plans that won't work for everyone. Well,
Mhm.
I've noticed in my appointments and with my client interviews, we meet everyone at their space to help fund their dreams.
Absolutely. And it's interesting when you just mentioned the band because I'm like, oh my gosh, right? Like, sounds so perfect to just finish retirement like that. But you had an event, and I think a lot of times those individuals that are coming from that standpoint, we view life a little bit differently when you realize the fragility that's behind it, right? And you see that every day is it truly is a blessing because you don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. And so you have a different appreciation that's behind it for those people that may have been in the same place as you, right? Of, I already know what my retirement's going to be, or I can just Google it and find the answer. What would you speak to them, and basically in saying why it's important to possibly seek advice from a professional like you, or find an advisor that can help guide them? Like, why go through that when we've got the whole internet and an avenue to figure those things out?
Certainly. Well, I think a lot of times what happens is they don't really look at the foundation of the house. It's not the most attractive part of building your portfolio. You kind of want to jump into the risk factor and take chances and get as much money as you can in a short amount of time.
Mhm.
We're not a get rich quick scheme. We're not that platform. We're a get rich eventually plan, and we make sure that you don't lose money. And
Mhm.
that is something that seems really unappealing to especially a younger crowd because they're like, hey, I can go on this app and I can play with the stock market and I could be just fine. And by all means, please do that. We need that. But you gotta cover the foundation of your home. And that is what determines the success of the longevity of your home as well as your finances. So we really instruct how to protect and build from the ground up, not just the happy kitchen upgrades or whatever.
Yeah,
Use that
absolutely.
analogy.
That's so funny. Well, one of the things that you just spoke to actually reminds me of a myth, and I wanted to bring it up because there might be people that are apprehensive in reaching out if they have heard this or feel like it's valid and true. And that was around, you mentioned instant wealth, but the flip side of that is that you need a lot of wealth to seek an advisor or to even hire a professional. And would you say that that is an accurate position that someone has to be in, or is that a misconception that's out there that people should understand that it does not apply?
It's a grave misconception.
Yeah.
That's why we talk to the people that we talk to,
Hmm.
because I thought I wasn't qualified to have someone like Eric Harvey speak with me.
Hmm.
But it turns out that even with just my basic teacher salary, he could do something for me. So we are competitive with the companies that actually need those standards,
Hmm.
but we hit it all. We hit the whole demographic, and so I'd like to dispel that myth that you have to have oodles of money, you know. You, of course, having an income definitely helps, but we can even help people who don't by advising them on what to do to better their situations and utilize the money that's already going out the door.
Of course. Now, we talked about you coming to Colorado, picking Westminster. Is this also where your business is located, or where can people find you?
Well, I am a contractor, so I am basically a broker for Five Rings. Our home office is located in Littleton, Colorado. And that home office services over 5,000 agents across the nation
Wow.
and even in Brazil. We've got the Brazilianaires, as we like to call them. Um, yeah, but we are a home office that all of us agents can use. They do all of the contracting, the licensing, the processing. It's amazing. So we don't have to have a home office to be successful in our company. So I work remotely. I generally work at coffee shops like the Sweetest Inspirations Bakery, just
Yeah.
to do a little plug there. And there's plenty of places that I mean, people's homes. We have kitchen table talks. But one of the wonderful things that I love is that I'm out in the field. This modest little setup I have here is where I can operate most of my business. And we have our TNTs, our Thursday night trainings, at our home office. And then we also have our Money 101s at our home office for those who want to meet down south. But we're all over the place.
That's awesome. Yeah, meeting people where they're at. James, I see you on here. Thanks for hopping on. And as you were speaking, Christiana, and letting us know your location and some of those things, I actually started pulling those details for people and sticking them into the chat. So if anyone is curious about that address, the phone number, they can find that, of course, on your Westminster Chamber listing that you have. But I've also included your Facebook page for people to be able to connect and your LinkedIn profile as well. Were there other things that I did not ask you that you were really hoping to get out there for folks or that you wanted them to know before we start rounding out our discussion for the day?
Well, no, you've given me so much to say. I will invite people who are interested in learning more with no commitments. We'll we'll buy you dinner. We'll get you a mimosa. You can have a nice glass of wine and network. If you're interested in any of those events, I would love to invite you and have a little moment to chat with you and get to know you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. Again, thank you for all of you that are tuned in with us. If you just now joined us, you can always, once we close out, be able to rewind and rewatch. And of course, if you have hopped in and off, you can always find this at your convenience to be able to watch. What I like to tell folks is, forget the Netflix binging. Instead, consider binging on what is truly in your community because that's what impacts you and matters. So please do reference the video section. And if you haven't already connected with Christiana or you have questions for her that you wanted us to get over that you weren't very comfortable typing in the chat, you can always DM the page. When you DM the page, we will honor that confidentiality and turn around. And whether it is coming from you directly that you want it to be answered or you want us to just ask it vaguely, we can do that as well. I know everyone has their own unique places and spaces and comfort level. And so we just want to open that dialogue and conversation for you. Of course, if you haven't already done so, then I want you to be sure that you hit the share button on this video so others in your network see that. And if you do tune in later and you had a comment or question that you made, several of you know what to do with this, but I will remind you for those, if you're a first time viewer, giving us the hashtag replay in the comment section allows us to easily find whatever comment that you've made later on. And so be sure you give us that # replay whenever you're making a comment or a question for us so we can be able to pick that up later. I do see Deek on here as well. Thank you for joining us, Deek. We are just now rounding out the conversation of our new partner welcome with Five Rings Financial, Kristiana, and I do encourage all of you to connect with her. She is such a lovely individual and someone who truly has their heart in the work that she does. And I can't think of a better, we talked about this before we went live, like the people that we are so grateful for in our chambers like this, honestly, like, I don't know how we attract it, but we attract these amazing people that are truly passionate about what they're doing and they genuinely want to help. They're not transaction people. They're not a one and done. Those people might come, but they will go. We always have these kind-hearted people that are here to help. So just wanted to give that quick plug and then remind you guys that at 1 p.m. today, I'll be live on KUHS Denver. We will share that out onto my personal page. Andrea, thank you for joining on here and tuning in. We will be live at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on KUHS Denver with Brian Dice to talk about everything related to the property valuation. I know Jerry Giulo earlier had also shared with us some resources for Jefferson County. So if you are a homeowner or know someone that's a homeowner or have questions about your property tax and valuation and current market and all that good stuff, you can tune in with us at 1 p.m. today for that broadcast. And I do have to share this because Brett is like hyping you up in the comment section, rightfully so. But, I think he deserves that mimosa you were talking about.
Yeah, I got one for you, buddy.
I got one for everybody. You're like, it's right here. It's ready. It's Friday. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? But thank you again for being on here with me, Kristiana. It has been
Thank
a joy
you.
to share you with others.
Thank you.
And
Thank
for
you so much.
and for those of you that are tuned in, thank you again for being a part of our program today. And I hope to see you guys pop on here in a couple hours when we're live again. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course. All right. Stay with me while we close out.